one of the speeches where they said, COVID-19 pandemic was a test of human compliance. They just come out and say that.
Was it just written or did someone speak that?
Someone say it. Yeah, let's pull it up. World Economic Forum, the pandemic was a test of human compliance. But the point I'm making is that there's a lot of interest in this whole field. We have divisions. Here we go. Who said that?
No, the World Economic Forum did not describe the pandemic as a test of human compliance. Test of
social responsibility.
Key details from that and related WEF publications include test of social responsibility. The article explicitly stated that COVID-19 was the test of social responsibility.
Citing the fact that people worldwide complied with the unimaginable restrictions. Well, pretty close.
Oh, I don't doubt that it felt certainly like a psychological experiment. I mean, one of the things I was going to ask you is, what do you feel like they learned from this? Like, what valuable information was taken away, like whoever these powers are that be, Well,
I hope that they learned that when they have a vaccine that's an epic failure, that's permanently going to set back aspirations for future worldwide vaccination. Now, if this vaccine would have worked, and everyone took it, and COVID magically went away, and just everything cleared up in a month or two, and nobody was sick anymore, and there was no side effects, these guys would have been heroes, right? Remember, Bill Gates comes out in April of 2020 and says, this pandemic doesn't end until virtually every person in the world takes a vaccine. How does he know? It's April of 2020. Vaccines,
right? Who knows what's going to happen?
Right.
Yeah. So, if you have a strategy, then of course that's what you're going to say.
Well, Gates Foundation and the Bloomberg School of Public Health in 2017 hold a planning seminar. It's called the SPARS pandemic, SPARS pandemic. It's at Johns Hopkins, and it says there's going to be a coronavirus pandemic.
Yeah.
In 2017.
I remember
now,
reading that.
They held it in 2017. They thought it was going to hit in 2025. Okay, it hits in late 2019. Then, and this is one of the ones that is well documented as a planning event, and then Event 201. Come on. That's November of 2019.
What is Event 201?
Event 201 was, again, Johns Hopkins, Bloomberg School of Public Health, Gates Foundation. They have a meeting. They said, we are really going to have a coronavirus pandemic. They bring over George Gao, who's the Chinese CDC director, and he's paired up with others there. Avril Haines is there. Who's Avril Haines? She's a former World Economic Forum associate, becomes our director of national intelligence under Biden. Really? And she's with George Gao, and they're saying, oh, we're going to have a COVID pandemic, and this is how it's essentially is going to be used to railroad mass vaccination on the world.
But do you believe that everybody knew that, or do you believe that a select group knew it and then they just, because say if I have a devious plan, right? I could still go to someone and say, hey, this is what's happening. I don't have to say I'm the one who's causing what's happening, right? So because the tough part is when you start to think of like that everybody was complicit, like, you know what I'm saying? That's the part that starts to feel very impossible to a lot of people.
I don't think that's the case. I got to tell you, I was in practice then. I had no idea this was going on. Everybody I talked to in my institutions all over the whole country, all over Europe, no one knew this was happening. The point is, this was going on. This was in the open.
Got it.
No one was paying attention. I bet no one briefed Trump that in 2017 that they're going to, they were planning for a coronavirus pandemic. I bet there wasn't any briefing.
But does it also make sense that as our world evolves and as like biohacking and like research and everything becomes so much more intense and like medicine is evolving all the time and science is evolving constantly, that's just what it does, that it would make some sense to strategize that something like this could happen, like that maybe we've moved on from like actual like huge wars on land, and then it's going to become more like, I remember years ago you would hear like, oh, the next war is going to be in the water or it's going to be in the air, right? It's going to be a virus. You would hear stuff like that a lot, like just kind of randomly.
Oh, there's movies, right? There's movie Contagion and all these other movies. What what experts will say in infectious disease and vaccinology is that the reason why we have to have biolabs is we have to get ahead of nature.
Right.
So nature sooner or later is going to throw us a really bad bug, and we're susceptible to these. And the case example they use is Spanish flu. In my book on vaccines, we spend a lot of time on the Spanish flu, which was very unique. Post-World War I, we have young men in army barracks. And remember, influenza doesn't directly kill people. What kills them is a secondary staphylococcal pneumonia, and that's what they die of. The point that was made, though, is that, listen, we could have another Spanish flu. And when COVID-19 pandemic broke, don't forget, the storyline we were told is, oh, here we go again. It's another Spanish flu. Now, remember, Anthony Fauci knows it came out of the lab, but they collaborate together to say, you know what? It came out of a fish market. In fact, the WHO, when it was asked to investigate early in 2020, where did this virus come from? Rear Admiral Brett Giroir, someone who went to my medical school in Dallas at Southwestern, he was on President Trump's first task force. Brett Giroir nominates 3 U.S. scientists to go to Wuhan. The WHO says, no, we don't want them. We want Peter Daszak. Isn't that interesting? Daszak, who knew, in fact, he was shuttling the plans over there. So Daszak goes over to Wuhan and he looks around. He goes, I don't know where this virus came from, but it definitely didn't come out of the lab. He had been to the lab dozens of times. He shuttled the plans over. Anthony Fauci was well aware of this. They started covering up their emails. Rand Paul's got a great book called Deception. He has every single one of these events in it. But the point I'm making is those in this field keep saying, listen, there could be another Spanish flu. We must get ahead of this. However, with the 2004 BioShield Act and the 2005 PREP Act, the governments got in the game of bioterrorism.
How did those acts allow them to do that?
Well, what happened was we had the anthrax scare, which largely looks like it was a deranged government worker at Fort Detrick who was working on the anthrax vaccine for the military, and there's been lost enthusiasm for this vaccine based on safety. And so he actually sent some letters to Leahy and other people in Congress. Some people got sick. To this day, not a single soldier has died of anthrax because an enemy shot an anthrax capsule the other way. It's all been, this event.
Like these social events.
Yeah, social events.
Yeah.
So,
what happened with anthrax?
Well, there's another great book with, there you go.
Letters containing anthrax spores were mailed to several news media offices and to Senators Tom Daschle and
Patrick Leahy.
Patrick Leahy, killing 5 people and infecting 17.
Others. But what I'm saying is the anthrax scare and SARS-1, the SARS-1 outbreak, led to this idea that wait a minute.
There's money here.
Well, first off, this could really happen. So we should be prepared. That's the reason why it's called the PREP Act. We should be prepared, and our governments should get in this game. So the military got in the game with a unit called DARPA, D-A-R-P-A, and the National Institutes of Health got in this game with a unit